Move to approve is digitally reproduced.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve as published. Say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Approved. Item 3, site plan review in the corridor overlay. Interstate corridor overlay site plan and building plan review for the medical facility. 354 23rd Avenue East. Not too far.
Thank you. This application was received in order to construct an eye care clinic. The property is located within the Interstate Corridor Overlay District, which requires a higher construction standard with all development subject to site and building plan review and approval by the Planning and Zoning and City Commissions. The site plan shows a 2-story, 40,000 square foot building with 22,000 square feet on the first floor for exam and treatment space for a vision clinic, and 17,000 square feet on the second floor for a break room, conference area, office, and future space for additional office support for the existing staff on the first floor. The structure will be connected to the existing specialty surgery center to the west, which is currently under construction. The site plan shows 134 parking stalls, which falls short by 67 parking spaces of the required parking of 201. Parking for medical facilities is 1 space per 200 square feet of gross floor area, so the applicant would either need to provide for the 201 parking spaces on site, arrange for additional parking on an adjacent lot, or petition the City Commission to approve the reduction in parking. The applicant is proceeding separately with the reduction in parking and will be on the City Commission agenda next week. The parking lot contains landscaped islands, landscaping around the perimeter, and is set back adequately as per the Interstate Corridor Overlay District requirements. The landscaping appears to exceed the number of plant units. The submitted elevations show a trash can closure on the west side of the building, which would not be visible from the interstate or any public streets, and will have adequate architectural screening. Setbacks for the building appears more than adequate for the Interstate Corridor Overlay District. With the exception of the parking and loading requirements, the submitted information shows that the city plans and development requirements can be met. Staff's recommendation is to approve the site and elevation plans for the submittal to the City Commission with the condition that provisions of the West Fargo city ordinances are met to ensure sufficient review is provided for building inspections and other city departments. This is not a public hearing, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Roads in this department, Cheyenne.
I believe so. I don't remember the details on that. If it was strictly office space, they would meet the parking requirements for the entire site. With office,
So the parking requirements.
right, it was a little more complex. If you recall, last year we changed it. It had to do with 5 parking spots per doctor plus employee on the largest shift, and there was a formula. So we switched it to 1 space per 200 square feet of gross floor area. Another thing to note is with the first floor, they're proposing to develop immediately. They only need 114 parking spots for the first floor. It's just with the additional space when they develop that, which they indicate will be for support staff and break room facilities. That's where they run into issues. Again, it's the City Commission. Well, they will review it as per the ordinance, passage of a resolution, should they see fit. So that'll be reviewed on Monday night. So we're looking at the site plan, the exterior of the building, parking, landscaping.
Requirements as far as materials.
Correct.
Meet the needs.
think there's a different calculation. I think it's per bed, employee. I believe there's probably more support staff with a hospital facility than with a clinic.
Well, and I may have missed this. What are they doing to try to rectify
They, and Aaron could maybe speak to this, they've requested a parking reduction and they've provided information justifying it.
Yeah, the applicant has submitted some information that's based on kind of their specifics of their operation in terms of a utilization rate of the rooms that they have, their anticipated kind of turnover rate, and how many patients they'll have at any given time. And so they go into a much deeper dive, I guess, on the actual operations of their specific clinic versus the zoning code, which is just a straight ratio based on gross square footage. And so as Lisa mentioned, the way that the ordinance reads right now is that the city commission has the authority to reduce the minimum required off-street parking by passing via a resolution. And so that's, like Lisa mentioned, will be on the city commission meeting on Monday, and there will be some additional details in the city commission packet for them for that consideration. So that's mentioned in Lisa's staff report there, just as more of an FYI, not something that's really up for a decision tonight, but it does relate to the site plan, so.
What's the action you're looking for from this board?
Recommendation of approval of the site plan.
So moved.
And I'd like to see, as long as the parking issue is resolved.
Yeah, you can make your, if you were to recommend approval, you can make that contingent upon, approval of the parking reduction by the city commission.
So moved. That's what I meant.
What do you say?
Been moved and seconded to approve the site plan with the condition that the resolution is approved by the city council for reduction of parking. Any further discussion? Before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Are there any non-agenda items? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I've got a couple, just quick updates and housekeeping things more than anything. The first one I wanted to bring to your attention is that at the last city commission meeting, city staff was directed to draft a potential text amendment relating to campgrounds. In summary, this stems from a request from the Red River Fairgrounds Association. They're looking to expand the campground facilities at the fairgrounds. And since the fairgrounds is within West Fargo's extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction, the approval of the campgrounds kind of falls into the details of the zoning code. Right now, the zoning code does not allow for campgrounds in any zoning district. And so over the course of the next month or so, staff will kind of dig into what the options are and what are some potential amendments that we could make. And so we haven't really started to dig into that in much detail yet. Just wanted to bring it to your attention, and because this will be a text amendment that will come before you at some point before going on to the city commission for their consideration. So the details of the fairground, so the fairground is currently within the agricultural, the A zoning district. I believe the fairgrounds is a conditionally permitted use within the agricultural zoning district. Not to get too into the weeds here, but the way that the campground operates, or the way that the fairgrounds actually operates the campground, they operate it as a primary use. They don't operate it as an accessory use to the fairgrounds. And so when we review it in light of the zoning code, we have to treat it as a primary use. And since that is not a permitted primary use, nor is it permitted as a conditional use, that's what necessitates the need to amend the zoning code in order to allow some type of option for them to do that. Does that answer that question?
It sounds like a loose end that needs to be tied up.
Yep, so more to come on that in the future. The other item I wanted to, I guess, bring to your attention again, or just start with a thank you for those that participated in the discussion with placemakers. I know they got a lot of great information from you all during that discussion. And then just put in another plug, if anybody wasn't able to attend and had comments, feel free to send those. Probably be looking for those by the end of this week at the latest. If you do have any other thoughts after the meeting, after you've had time to kind of chew on that stuff. And I know they did provide their direct contact info as well. Hopefully you all received the email from me with a link to that video if you wanted to review it and follow up. So next steps on the planning needs assessment, they should have probably a very rough draft by the end of this month. And then I hope that we have a draft that's in good enough shape to present to you all here next month is kind of the goal. So. Then maybe the last thing just to mention too, city staff will be looking at some of the parking related to the lights, the entertainment mixed use, EMU zoning district, and so you might hear some more on that in the near future as well as we look to kind of analyze the. Well, that's just a whole other animal in itself in terms of the way that district is structured and the availability of parking, especially in relation to some of the events and different. There's kind of these maximum peaks that are very rare, and how do we kind of handle that as a city is kind of what we're going to be digging into. So another just FYI to get that on your radar as well. So that's all I had for random updates.
Nothing else?
Move to adjourn.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.